Okay, now I found the right one. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes. Welcome, Mark.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what the other meeting I was in. I'm sitting there by myself, but
Hey,
okay.
Mark. Are you having a
Hello.
party on Main Street?
Is there?
It's nice
I
out.
wish.
Maybe there is a party going on Main Street.
I wish.
Everybody, we are now streaming onto YouTube.
No.
So I wanted
Okay.
to let you know that it was all set up and ready to go.
Like Andrea, I just
Everything.
emailed that to you so that you have that deed. And like I said, it's on page 2 of the deed, right? I think of the second paragraph.
Okay.
Okay, let me just. And this is for 23 North Center.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
You
I'm
should see
sorry.
on your screen the aerial photo.
Okay. And we're live stream. Okay, I guess I should call this to order. So I'm going to call to order the administrative adjustment hearing for February 20th, 2024. And a statement of authority pursuant to Maryland Code Annotated Land Use Article Division 1, Single Jurisdiction Planning and Zoning. Title 4, Zoning, Subtitle 2, Designation and Adoption, Section 4-205, and the City of Westminster Zoning Ordinance, Section 164, 158.1A1. The Planning Director is authorized to grant administrative adjustments for the following requirements contained in this chapter: local height requirements, local setback, local bulk, local parking, local loading, dimensional area requirements, and similar local requirements. And the director may grant administrative adjustment in cases where the strict compliance with the requirements from this chapter would result in practical difficulty or reasonable hardship, which has not been caused by the applicant. So with that, we're going to start with the public hearing for case number 2401. This is an application requesting approval of an administrative adjustment for 23 North Center Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157, SDAT number 07058-489 to the zoning ordinance section 164-111C and 164-115 to allow a reduction of the number of required parking spaces and a reduction of the width of access drive into the site from North Center Street. And the applicant is requesting the administrative adjustment to establish and commence a real estate office. With that, anybody that's going to testify today, if you could swear that the testimony you're about to give is true, and if you can reply with a raise of the right hand or a yes, that would be acceptable.
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Okay. Jamie, are you going to be testifying? Okay. So, and with that, I will turn it over to Andrea.
Thank you. On February 1st, 2024, an application was submitted to the Department of Community Planning and Development for an administrative adjustment for 23 North Center Street. The property is Zone B business, and the property contains a 2.5-story structure, which was previously used from what we've been told as a law office. The applicant is proposing to construct a 752 square foot addition to the existing structure, and as you said, Mark, to operate as a real estate office. This is a use that is allowed in the B business zone. As far as the hearing goes today, the property was posted with the notice. We also sent mailings out to all the adjacent property owners as well to let them know of the date and the time and the place of our hearing today. Mark, you already went through the authorization that gives you the ability to grant the administrative adjustment, but I did want to say that in 2003, the Mayor and Common Council adopted a resolution containing the administrative adjustment procedures. And what that is that the applicant should understand that the administrative adjustment is an exception to the general requirement imposed under Chapter 164, and it's not a matter of right. The applicant bears the burden of persuasion, and proof to justify the granting of the administrative adjustment. This property is part of a simplified site plan, SS 2309, and it's now reached its final stages before approval. And we're here to talk about two items, like you said, Mark, the parking spaces as well as the access drive. The applicant is proposing, like I said, a 752 square foot addition to the already existing 2,682 square foot structure for a total square footage of 3,434. Per the zoning requirements, the office space either requires 1 per 250 square feet of office space or 2 per office, whichever is greater. Therefore, 3,434 square feet of office space requires 14 parking spaces. It's important to note that the property is within the downtown parking area and therefore would receive a 25% reduction in the required number of spaces, leaving them with 10 parking spaces that are required. On SS 2309, it depicts that there are 6 parking spaces that are provided on site, therefore requiring a reduction of 4 parking spaces. The access drive. During the review of the simplified site plan, it was realized that the existing 11-foot driveway providing legal and sole access to this property from North Center Street is too narrow to meet the 20-foot access drive standards for two-way traffic. There's a means of access to the rear of the property over the adjacent property of 25 North Center Street, owned by Trustee First Church of God to Winter Street. However, the applicant would need to secure an access easement for the adjacent property owner. The applicant is asking for an administrative adjustment to keep the access point for this entrance into the site. It's the applicant's argument that the driveway is an existing condition and cannot be widened because of its location between the existing building and the property line. The staff report sets forth all of our conditions and factors that need to be considered, but I'm here to talk about primarily the findings of facts and conclusion of law. Staff recommends that the director consider the following as findings of fact and conclusions of law. The property is in the Westminster Historic District, and the primary structure at the property was built in 1870. It's not unusual for properties in the historic downtown to provide required on-site parking spaces, requiring a request to reduce the number of parking spaces and other parking standards. Also, due to the real estate office operations, there will be limited foot traffic and a sporadic number of employees in the office at any given time. The authorization of this administrative adjustment will not cause any substantial detriment to adjacent properties and will not materially impair the purpose of the chapter or any of the public interest. It is staff's recommendation that we approve the proposed administrative adjustment. But before we go on, there are 2 pieces of evidence, for lack of other words, that I'd like to just bring into the record, Mark. Number 1, I wanted to tell you that we did receive an email from the pastor at the church next door at 25 North Center Street. They were asking for the materials to review everything. They were hopeful that there would be some time to review the application and for them, I guess, to provide comment. One of the things that we were talking about offline prior, the applicants have provided a documentation, which is the deed. And that does say that on page 2, for the property next door for the church, that in the deed, there are 2 parking spaces that have been deeded to be able to be used by this property. So they already have that in the deed. So I just wanted to let you know that that does exist for the purposes of your conversation.
As well as access to use the Winters Lane entrance.
So if it's okay with you, do you mind, Mark, if I share this document on the screen? So this is, as we said, this is the for the trustees of the First Church of God of Westminster. And I apologize that I'm going super fast as I scroll down, but talks about here a right of way for ingress and egress to and from the rear of said property and Winters Alley, and the right on the part of the grantee at all times to park 2 motor vehicles on the parking lot immediately to the rear of the described lot. I think that was the reference that you were talking about, right, Rachel?
Yes, the rest is just the rest of their deed, but that's the easement that was already granted several years ago to the prior, I guess when the law offices were conducting business, they had that done.
So with that, that is everything that I have to say. Obviously, the applicants are here today if, for whatever additional questions you might have, or if they want to, add anything additional themselves.
Yeah, so for the applicant, if you could explain maybe the business, your argument as to the reduction and anything else you might want to add from what you provided.
Yeah, so I think it's important to note that we only have 2 full-time employees that will be coming to the building Monday through Friday. So there are really only 2 necessary parking spots for a daily basis. We have been in business for several years and have never received, foot traffic entrance as far as people coming in to inquire about real estate. The business will be held there and we hold meetings once a month, of which the church has told us that if we needed overflow parking, but we've, there's on-street parking and other opportunities for anybody that needs to come to a meeting once a month. And so from a day-to-day basis, we would not be impeding any of the general traffic or causing any issues to any of the businesses around us for the business that we will be conducting in the building. And so we
And-
have 6 parking spaces, with the 2 additional making it 8. And so we're asking that that be an ample supply that we would need in order to run our day-to-day business, as well as the understanding that the building can't be moved, so we can't make that driveway any wider. However, we do have access through the Winter's Alley, which is the prior business that was there before us had 7 employees, as far as I was told. So I know at least 5 of them were in the office 5 days a week. And they didn't have any issues for all the years that they were there. So we don't intend to, we intend to have less use of the building than they did for the past decade or more that they were there.
Did they take advantage of the Winter's Alley access?
Yes,
Previous occupant?
yes.
Did they operate as a one-way movement, or did they also have access, two-way access to Center Street? Both ingress and egress.
So they had parking along the side of the fence that's there. That's because of the addition, we've removed those 2 parking places. So it's my understanding, I mean, when I went to go visit that building, we drove in, turned around in the parking and went back out, so it was used as 2-way access previously.
Okay. I don't have really many questions. I think everything's been covered. And did we hear back from the adjacent property owner?
No, I went ahead this morning and sent a link to the documents that I sent out on Friday. But I haven't heard anything back.
Jamie,
I also
Rachel,
had a
anything?
copy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you guys have anything else you want to state or provide information about?
I guess, is there anything else that we can do to get the exception granted?
It's really by what, yeah.
This is what I will tell you is I actually met with the pastor of the church over the summertime. And he said that he would give us access to their entire parking lot because this business only is conducted on Sunday. And what he actually wanted in return when we met is that if he has overflow parking, he wanted to use our parking spot too on Sunday. And of course, our week of business is Monday through Friday when we have our 2 employees in the office. That would be really a give and take. So I believe that he's coming to the community like any of us would and offering up space so that we can both commingle and make it work. I can't imagine that there would be an issue with him at all. Even if we asked for more spots, he said he would give us whatever spots we needed in order for us to conduct our line of business on a day-to-day basis. Like Rachel said, I believe the 2 spaces that we already have deeded to us are more than sufficient.
Okay. Andrea, anything else?
No.
Okay, I think with the information provided in the staff report, I think there's enough to suggest that an administrative adjustment is valid. There was mention of an existing use. I know it's brought up a few times. I don't believe, and by the staff report, that the city could ever locate anything that really told us that it was legally approved, similar to what you're going through right now. But that doesn't affect the argument. I think I would look at when the property was originally, the way it was functioning when the ordinance was created back in 1978, and I can only assume it was a residence, and the residence itself would have had 2 parking spaces. I think because of that, and now you're changing use, I see no reason to not waive a minimum of 2 parking spaces from the previous use. Anything new is really geared towards the business that's being established today. So with that, I'm approving an administrative adjustment of 2 parking spaces. That would therefore, you would meet the requirements of the ordinance, 6 on site, the 2 parking spaces off site. And as far as the access drive, same, it's functioned that way when it was first, when the ordinance was adopted. I'm assuming as a residence, they probably did not have access to Winters Alley, and they functioned as a 2-way movement. I think with the addition of the easement to allow Winters Alley offering 2 means of access makes it a lot easier to approve the administrative adjustment for access as well. So with that, you're granted the administrative adjustments, and we'll get a decision out to you, and we can then forward the approvals to the site plan.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
I would recommend that the information from the deed be put onto the site plan as well. And we have some additional comments for Marissa, so I'll include that, as part of it as well.
Okay, perfect.
And she should
Wonderful.
reference, the site plan should reference the 2 parking spaces and the ability to access. It's only better for you anyway to have that on the site plan as well.
Agreed.
Perfect.
And I will be
Okay.
sure to get your hearing signed back to you this week so I don't get held up in hearing court.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Well, if there's nothing else, I want to thank everybody for coming along with the administrative
Oh
adjustments.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You guys
We
can come.
really
You can
appreciate
come hang out in our parking lot anytime you want.
I know there'll be plenty of spaces to use, so
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.